With me today, I have the best-selling SUV from Mazda's lineup, and that is this 2020 Mazda CX-5. Now, recently there's been a lot of buzz over the brand new CX-30, and of course the very popular midsize SUV CX-9 still exists. However, I bet most of you guys didn't know, Mazda sells more CX-5s than all the other cars and SUVs in the lineup combined. That's how important this is for Mazda. So for 2020 model year, of course, Mazda made some subtle tweaks to make this even better. What are those tweaks and how does this stack up against the competition in the compact SUV segment? Well, keep watching and find out. The current generation of the CX-5 was revealed in 2017 and not much has changed on the outside. However, in my opinion, it has aged really well. The CX-5 has an elegant and round design that still looks good today. The front end is dominated by a large black grille, along with chrome surrounds that spread into the sleek-looking headlights. All trims receive LED headlights and LED daytime running lights, but the upper trims like the Signature gets auto leveling, LED fog lights, and adaptive front lighting system, which points the headlights in the direction of your car. Now, the side of the CX-5 has a sloping roof and very short front and rear overhangs. There is some black cladding around the wheel fenders along the rocker panels. On the Sport and Touring trims, you have 17-inch alloy wheels, while the Grand Touring and higher trims receive 19-inch alloy wheels. The backside has a round shape with good-looking LED headlights, along with dual exhaust tips below. By the way, a very small change on the outside for this year is the font for the badges have changed. Moving inside the trunk, unfortunately, it's one of the smallest for this class. There are some small storage areas on both sides, and underneath you have a spare tire and tools. You can fold down the seats from the trunk area, and the nice thing about this is the middle section could be folded down separately, so you don't actually lose any passenger space if you wanted to just fold the middle down. Moving to the second row, the doors open a complete 90 degrees, which makes it easy to get in and out. Inside the Signature Edition, the interior is covered with Nappa leather throughout the cabin. By the way, you can also fold down the seats using the levers on the seat backs from the second row. Passengers get a pair of vents, but unfortunately no charging ports of any kind. As for space, it's also limited for the second row. I'm 5'10", and I have only about a few inches of legroom and about 4 inches of headroom. There's much less legroom here than its rivals such as the CR-V, Forester, and the RAV4. Up front, the cabin is upscale and elegant. Starting with the steering wheel, it definitely looks nice and sporty and feels very good. On the right, you have buttons for the radar-guided cruise control, which is now standard across all trims. On the left, you have buttons for volume, voice control, scrolling phone controls, and scrolling within the info screen. Now, the info screen in the gauge cluster is cleverly disguised as a speedometer. Yes, the middle portion is a large screen. You can scroll through various things which gets displayed in the middle. Left of the steering wheel, you have the trunk release, on and off buttons for some of the safety features, and a 360 view button. The infotainment screen for this year has been upgraded to an 8-inch touchscreen. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both compatible. You can scroll through various functions, and within the settings, there are a lot of things you can change. For 2020, iActive safety features are now standard across all trims. So things like emergency braking, pedestrian detection, lane keep assist, auto high beam, radar guided cruise control, those are all standard. Here's a better view of the 360 view camera I mentioned and the reverse camera. Even though this is pretty nice and you can see all around your CX-5, the resolution is quite low and the picture is kind of grainy. Now down here is the infotainment controls. You have a few buttons for quick navigating such as navigation, home, music, but generally you have to control everything like the scrolling and selecting through the rotary dial. Of course, you can use touch, but the dial is actually pretty easy to use and much faster. Before I move on, take a look at the aluminum vents. Along with the use of aluminum and wood on the dash and door panels, they look absolutely fantastic. Below, you have a button for a heated steering wheel, and then you have climate controls. There are buttons for heated and ventilated seats, recirculating, defroster functions, fan control, and you have knobs for setting the temperatures. There's a single 12V outlet underneath with some storage space, and you have a normal shifter controlling a 6-speed automatic, and you do have manual mode along with paddle shifters. There's also a sport mode that you can activate on the left side. Below you have parking brake, brake auto hold, and the volume knob, which are all next to the infotainment controls. 2 cup holders, some storage space underneath the armrest along with 3 USB ports, and finally on top you have home link controls, light controls, and controls for the normal sunroof. As for the engine, the CX-5 has 2 engines to choose from. The base is a 4-cylinder pushing out 187 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. This base engine is in line with others within the compact SUV segment. However, with the upper trims of the CX-5, you get the very powerful Skyactiv G 2.5-liter turbo engine pushing 250 horsepower with premium gas or 227 horsepower with regular gas. Torque is at 310 pound-feet of torque, which is 10 more than last year. Both engines are mated to a 6-speed automatic. The CX-5 also has a diesel option, but it is not available yet for the 2020 model year. Alright, let's go for a drive. Let's see how good the CX-5 is on the roads. Alright, I'm off. So first impression is I want to talk about the looks because you really can't miss it. When you walk up to a CX-5 or when you sit inside, it really has this elegance to it. It just feels more luxurious and it makes you feel like you're not in a compact SUV. Feels like you're more like a luxury SUV. There's less body roll than the competition. You could make sharper turns and corners and you just feel more planted. So that's the good about the suspension. The bad about the suspension is because of sport tune, you definitely feel more bumps on the roads, like just normal roads with little bumps here, there, imperfections, fillers. I mean, you go feel those more. So that's the trade-off. Something else that makes this CX-5 stand apart from the competition is this engine. It's pushing 250 horsepower, way more than the competition. So let's see how good this acceleration is. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a big difference. Big difference from the competition. I had this in sport mode, so it makes the throttle a little bit tighter. You get a bit more oomph when you floor it. But man, if you're using premium gas and you actually get the full 250 horsepower and like 320 pound-feet of torque, this is one quick SUV. This is the same engine, in fact, in the CX-9, which I felt was okay. I actually felt like the CX-9 could have used more power, but because this is smaller and it weighs less, man, it makes the CX-5 fly. As for these seats, I could definitely tell Mazda staying true with the sport theme because these seats are very bolstered to the point where I feel like they're over bolstered, at least for my thigh. The thigh support is really hard and it really cuts in. So I feel like my leg, my thigh, is sticking out and it's a little bit uncomfortable. The back is okay. It's very bolstered against my back, so I'm not stretching it out too far, but you know what, I can definitely feel it holding me in. Now, in terms of this engine, it's a little bit loud. Even at idle, when you're standing outside, you can definitely hear it. It's pretty loud. Inside, when you're cruising is okay. When you accelerate, man, you're gonna hear it. It is a loud engine. But as for overall sound in here, how quiet it is, how loud it is, it's about normal. So there's not a lot of wind noise that I hear. In terms of road noise, I hear a little bit. And in terms of cars passing by, a little bit. So it's kind of like average in terms of just sound insulation and how quiet it is in the cabin. One thing that you get in here, which is rare for a compact SUV, is heads-up display. And you do get it in here, and it's displayed on the windshield. It's very clear. It's very big. You get everything. Your blind spot warning is on there, miles per hour. Your your adaptive cruise control, everything is displayed in front of your face, and it's at a good level. It's bright, so I like that very much. So in terms of visibility and driving position, it's pretty good. First, with the visibility, I could see out the windows just fine. The blind spot, pretty much non-existent. And out the back, pretty big. The headrests are not really blocking the way, so those are all great things. The one little caveat to that is, the little asterisk is the heads-up display. There's a big bump on the dash. It sticks out about like 3 to 4 inches. So if you're the type that likes to sit lower in your seat, or you're a little bit shorter, that kind of blocks your view from seeing over the hood. So you do have to sit a little bit higher. So that's the only exception. But outside of that, the windshield is big. Now in terms of driving position, surprisingly, I feel like I sit a little bit higher in here than the rest of the compact SUVs I've tested recently. Now it could be because I put my seat a little bit higher to see over the bump, but I do feel like once I got in, it's a little bit higher. The seats are a little bit higher than the competition, so it gives you a little bit more of a commanding view. Not much though. It's still not as high as the midsize SUVs, but you know what? It's a nice feeling. I'm mixed on the brakes. It takes a lot of pressure to get the CX-5 to brake, and once it engages, it comes in pretty quickly. But you got to put a lot of force on the pedal to get the CX-5 to brake all the way. So that is something you have to get used to. As for trim levels and pricing, with the new 2020 Mazda CX-5, you have 5 basic trim levels. The base is now the Sport, and it starts around $26,590 for all-wheel drive. For front-wheel drive, you can subtract off $1,400. Next, you have the Touring, that's a little bit above $28,000. Then you have the Grand Touring, and that's a little bit under $32,000. Then you move up to the Grand Touring Reserve, and that starts at over $35,000. And finally, the Signature, and that's the one I'm testing today, that comes in at $37,155. Next, let's look at the good and bad to this brand new CX-5. Starting with the good. The CX-5 has a stylish and elegant exterior and interior. The cabin quality is top notch. That 2.5 liter turbo engine is simply fantastic. The steering is very precise. The CX-5 has a sport-tuned suspension. And finally, for 2020, the new standard safety features is definitely a good thing. As for bad, there's also a few things as well. Cargo room and second row room is definitely cramped compared to others in this class. Lacking USB ports both in the second row and in the front. The sport-tuned suspension does provide a harsher ride. The volume knob is at a weird location. Engine is pretty loud. And finally, the sports seats are a tad too bolstered. Overall, if you enjoy driving and you want an SUV that feels more connected and fun, the CX-5 fits the bill. The 2.5 liter turbo that's available in the CX-5 simply blows away the competition, and other features such as heads-up display, ventilated seats, and the middle seat fold down in the second row is fantastic, and these are things others lack. However, the CX-5 does trail rivals in terms of overall space, cargo room, and certain features like wireless charging and panoramic sunroof that are not available. I'm giving the brand new 2020 Mazda CX-5 a score of 95. To see how it compares to others in this class, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, hit the like and subscribe to the channel, and check out these other videos.